Hey everybody, it's Mr. Delusia with the weekly Devblog. This week I'm going through just the bit I did this week. Fixed up some of the gameplay. I was doing a lot of just making all Delusia the same as that screen I was showing off last week. And a few of the other places fixed. Starting to fix the warp section as well. I fixed up the bugs that came up with the warp gate, the hyper warp gate and a few other things. Changed the AI, and I did some stuff in as you can see here as well, the HUD. I might make that a bit opaque. AI is a bit different. I don't know if you'll notice too much, but still adjusting it. So I'll show off the asteroid belt, and these things are going to move. So the warp out is probably going to go like here above that layer. We'll just warp out. Dock maybe next to it, so it all fit in that block there. Should stop the shield from regenning. But slowly changing this. As you can see, the foreground's moving properly, but the background is different, and that's because of how I'm handling the background in the usual gameplay area. So there's two different calculations. Foreground is one type of calculation, background is another. But yeah, don't have to really get into it. And as you can see here, there's a slight pause, and that's because there's a heap of enemies in the asteroid field. So as you can see, the asteroids don't aim at you like the other AI. So yeah, no collision like usual now. But I've moved, so now the asteroids, they're kind of spread out now, so we can destroy some. I forget if I went through the source rec change, but yeah, the collisions. So yeah, beforehand that would have picked it up then, but now, yeah, the same. So that's a solution. So yeah, also just went through all the backgrounds of this. I might, depending on the location, like maybe Delusia 3, they'll have more of this background. So as well, there was a bit of edge clipping with that background that I fixed. So another small thing. I'll go to the warp gate. So as well, these increase smoothly because of the change to the images. The AI, yeah, I've changed slightly to evade more often. It's only slightly, so it's barely noticeable, but I'm trying to find that right amount so that it shoots and then evades, so that it's really hard for the player to get him. Yeah, as you can see here, the warp gate now. So that's another thing I have to still fix, is that sound. So before I made all the changes to how the gameplay worked with free roam like this, the gate would start center, so that was one issue, and then you couldn't hyper warp out. But now, let's say the hyper warp gate's over here. We'll go to Apophis. We'll go from here. So see, it centers it properly. It's always at the hyper warp gate. So I'll let that go. Don't know if you can hear it. And then the same with the explosion. Be focused around the position of the hyper warp gate. As you can see there. So yeah, that background's moving slower than I want it to. So you can really see how cheesily I designed it. It's just a bit of squiggly lines. But when it moves fast, it looks fine, I think. So yeah. So let's say, now I haven't done the new backgrounds for these areas yet, but with the Apophis, let's say, so they all will have the same starfield layer, but instead of that blue cloud you saw, so I'm using my hand on the screen, not like you can see it, but there's a blue cloud like you saw in the last area. So what's going to happen with, say, Apophis is I'll draw one big cloud, like the same as the Delusia space, but I'll like layer it many times, and then there'll be a heap of those smaller clouds, so it'll look really cloudy, and then the smaller clouds will go in the foreground layer covering the planet, so it'll really look like you're thick in a what are they called? Yeah, the dust field, whatever. So I like this planet. So it's going to really hopefully look good with the new background, this planet, and yeah. So that's what I'll be doing this week, is more of that. Yeah, I might change these as well, these system backgrounds, not sure. And then galaxy map, I'm just going to keep this because yeah, the way I've designed it is around this background galaxy map. So but yeah, like Justitia, let's say, can use the same backgrounds as Delusia, or the planetary backgrounds, but then you go back to let's say LoD 1, maybe just slightly a bit of clouds, and that's it. So like doing the other systems in Delusia is pretty easy, and then it's probably going to be the same for ViperSec. Once you do one, like a lot of them have the same backgrounds, but with what's in there at the moment, I've done a planetary background for almost every planet. So yeah, like, let's see what happens anyway. Griffin and Rushi can have the same ones. These two, that's an issue. Let's block in the galaxy map should overlay. I'll make that layer come over this, pause the gameplay. I think that's what I'll do, because the gameplay still plays when you're in galaxy map. You just can't shoot, you can't do anything, but if there's enemies they'll shoot at you. So yeah, that's, what do you think of the HUD layer? I could make it a bit more opaque, but yeah, I've changed that. I like these better than the other ones. I've got to remove that number. And this background, I'm gonna be changing the backgrounds that come up on the home screen anyway, because this is the old backgrounds. I'll change the planet. I'll put a different planet because this one's not one of my favorites. So just because I stuffed up the what do you call it, atmosphere layer when I drew it. It looks a bit weird, like the outer edge of the atmosphere is dark but the inner is lighter, so it looks really weird. But like, this planet probably would have looked better without an atmosphere. Oh well, I'll leave it at that. So yeah, it kind of went on again, but it was just showing off those things. AI fixed, I think that was, what else? Yeah, I don't remember what else I did. But yeah, so I think next week I'll just be going through some of the new areas, backgrounds and stuff. So, yeah guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully see you next week.